The planet Virelia was bright with green skies and tall silver towers. The people who lived there, the Xerenians, were graceful aliens with smooth skin, glowing eyes, and long hair that shimmered like stars. They were proud, peaceful, and known across the galaxy for their strong psychic powers. Their ruler, Queen Saralia, was wise and powerful. Her face was calm like ice, and her voice was soft but sharp. She had ruled for over 100 years, never once showing fear, pain, or even tears. But there was one person who could make her heart warm. Her daughter, Princess Oralis. Oralis was young, only 20 galactic years old. She was kind and curious. Unlike other Cyrenians, she liked to laugh, dance, and ask strange questions. She often asked about other species, especially humans. She loved hearing stories about them. Wild. Explorers, brave warriors, and people with big emotions. "Why do humans fight so much?" she once asked. "To survive," the queen answered. "But they are dangerous." Oralis didn't agree. She believed humans had something special, something even the Xerenians had forgotten: fire in their hearts. One day, Oralis left Virelia on a peace mission. She traveled with guards, nobles, and ships full of gifts. The plan was simple: visit nearby systems, talk with leaders, and show the kindness of the royal family. But on the third day of the journey, her fleet disappeared. There was no message, no signal. Just silence. Queen Saralia sat alone in her throne room. The crystal floor reflected her glowing eyes. The court was silent. The nobles watched her carefully. "Send the fleet," she ordered. "Search every star from here to the rim." For weeks, Virelian ships searched deep space. They found pieces of wreckage, floating bodies, and broken parts of royal ships, but no sign of Oralis. Some said pirates attacked. Others whispered about slavers or rebels. A few believed the princess was dead. Queen Saralia said nothing. She stood tall and still. But when the palace was quiet and no one was watching, she walked into her daughter's empty chamber. She touched the soft fabric of Oralis's favorite, dress. And for the first time in many decades, a tear rolled down her cheek. Far away, on a dirty outpost near a dying star, a human man sat in a small metal room. His name was Damon Voss. He was tall, strong, with a scar over one eye and rough hands. His ship, the Iron Howl, was old but fast. Damon was a former soldier, once part of Earth's elite forces. But now he worked alone, taking jobs, helping those in trouble, and flying into places no one else dared to go. He didn't care much about politics or alien kings, but one thing he couldn't ignore was a distress signal. It was faint and old, buried deep in a forgotten part of space, but something about it felt wrong. He followed the signal to a quiet system, hidden behind asteroid fields and ion storms. There, floating among the rocks, was a broken ship. Damon stepped carefully through the wreck. The walls were burnt, wires hung like vines, and the air was cold. But something caught his eye. A symbol on the wall. A glowing silver crest. "Virelian royal emblem," Damon whispered. "That's strange." He moved deeper inside and found something even stranger, a small device still blinking. It was a data recorder, and when Damon played it, he heard a weak voice. "This is Princess Oralis of Virelia. We are under attack. Unknown ships. My guards are falling." Then silence. Damon stared at the recorder. He had heard of Oralis before. Everyone had. The missing princess. The legend. But now he had proof she had survived the attack, for a short while at least, and maybe she was still alive. He returned to his ship and ran the signal through his systems. A faint trail led to a dark region of space called the Grim Reach. No law, no rules, only death and slavery. Great. Damon muttered. Just my kind of place. But he didn't turn back. He powered up the iron howl, set course, and whispered to himself, if she's alive, I'll find her. The Grim Reach was not on any star maps. It was full of wrecked ships, black holes, and hidden pirate bases. Damon flew through narrow tunnels of rock and gas, avoiding traps and patrols. At one broken station, he stopped to fix his ship and get information. There he met a group of rescued alien slaves. Most were weak and scared. But one of them, a small insect-like being, remembered something. There was a girl, the creature hissed. Glowing eyes, like light. The pirates called her Royal Jewel. Where is she? Damon asked. Taken to the Black Moon, the auction house. That was all Damon needed. He bought more fuel, checked his weapons, and flew into the deepest part of the Grim Reach. The Black Moon was not a real moon. It was a giant station, built from old ships and space rocks. Inside, criminals and monsters gathered to buy and sell anything, tech, weapons, and people. Damon landed his ship and walked in, wearing dark armor and a cold face. He passed cages, chains, and crowds of cruel creatures. He heard laughing, shouting, and crying. At the center of the moon was a stage, and there, in a golden cage, sat Princess Oralis. Her hair was messy, her dress torn, and her eyes dim. But she sat straight, with her chin up. Even in chains, she looked royal. The announcer shouted, "The royal prize of Varelia, the psychic daughter of the Ice Queen. Who will bid?" Damon's hands curled into fists. He had seen many things in the galaxy, wars, death, monsters. But this made his blood boil. He didn't know why. Maybe it was the way she held herself. Maybe it was the pain in her eyes. Or maybe, just maybe, it was because she reminded him of hope. He walked away from the crowd, found a quiet corner, and opened a secret panel on his wrist. Inside were codes, stolen maps, and tools from his soldier days. "All right, Princess," he said softly. "Let's get you out of here." Damon Voss moved through the Black Moon with silent steps. The lights above flickered, and the air smelled like rust and oil. Every hallway was filled with noise, alien voices, metal boots, weapons clanking, but Damon's mind stayed clear. He had one goal: rescue Princess Oralis. He had seen her in the golden cage, on display like a prize. She was bruised and tired, but not broken. Even in pain, she looked proud. That made Damon angry. "She doesn't belong here," he whispered. He went back to his ship, the Iron Howl, and locked the doors. Inside, he opened a secret wall panel. Weapons, armor, and gadgets were hidden inside. Damon pulled out a black suit with red lines, his old battle armor from Earth's Special Forces. It was scratched and burned, but still strong. He strapped on his belt, checked his pulse rifle, and loaded his small EMP grenades. "This place is a mess," he muttered. "Let's clean it up." Before moving out, Damon connected to the Black Moon systems using an old hacker tool. The station's design was messy, but he found something useful: a security map and a list of prisoner cages. One cage was marked with heavy locks and psychic suppressors. That had to be Oralis. He smiled. "Found you." Meanwhile, inside the golden cage, Princess Oralis sat alone. Her wrists were tied with glowing cuffs that blocked her psychic powers. Her head hurt. Her legs felt weak. But she stayed upright. She thought of her mother, her people, her planet. She wondered if they had given up on her. She closed her eyes and whispered, "I'm not broken. Not yet." Suddenly, the cage lights flickered. The guards outside looked around, confused. Then, one by one, the hallway lights went dark. Damon moved through the shadows like a ghost. 2 guards stood near the cage, laughing. They didn't see him until it was too late. Zap, zap. 2 silent darts hit their necks. They dropped without a sound. Damon stepped into the light, aiming his rifle. Oralis looked up, blinking. She saw a tall human in black armor. Who are you?" she asked weakly. "Name's Damon," he said. "I'm here to get you out." She stared. "Why?" "Because it's the right thing to do." He walked to her cage and pulled out a small tool. Sparks flew as he worked on the lock. The door creaked open. "Can you walk?" he asked. "I'll try." Oralis stood slowly. Her legs shook. But Damon caught her arm and helped her. They moved into the hallway, stepping over the fallen guards. But suddenly, sirens screamed. Red lights flashed. "Escape alert!" a voice shouted. "Royal prisoner loose! Lock all exits!" Damon cursed under his breath. Too slow. They ran down a side tunnel. Damon fired his rifle at a security drone. It exploded in sparks. More enemies were coming. Mercenaries, bounty hunters, and slavers. He handed Oralis a small device. "This is a mind shield. Put it on your head." "It'll block psychic pain." She nodded and placed it over her forehead. "What about you?" she asked. "I'm used to pain." They fought through a maze of metal halls. Damon fired non-stop, protecting Oralis as they moved. She tried to help, using weak bursts of psychic energy when the cuffs glitched. They reached a door marked Hangar 9. "My ship's in there," Damon said. But 4 enemies waited outside, big armed aliens with red armor and sharp teeth. "You're not leaving, human," one growled. Damon stepped forward. "Try stopping me." The battle was quick but fierce. Damon threw an EMP grenade. It exploded with blue light, frying enemy weapons. He rushed forward, punching and kicking with brutal skill. Oralis, though tired, used her psychic push to knock one alien into a wall. Damon grabbed her hand. "Come on!" They ran into the hangar and saw the Iron Howl, old but ready, as Damon opened the hatch. More enemies appeared behind them. Oralis turned, her eyes glowing faintly. "Go, I'll hold them." Damon paused. "Not leaving without you?" He shot down the first 2 attackers, then pushed Oralis inside. The ship's engines roared to life. Damon jumped into the pilot's seat. "Hold tight." Oralis sat beside him, breathing hard. As the ship lifted, cannon fire rained down from the hangar ceiling. Damon spun the ship sideways, dodging blasts. With a final burst of speed, the Iron Howl shot into space. They were free. For a moment, the stars were quiet. Oralis leaned back and closed her eyes. "We made it." Damon looked at her. "You all right?" "I am now." He nodded. "Good." They flew into deep space, away from the grim reach. Damon made sure the ship was on stealth mode. Then he sat back and looked at the princess. "Why, were you there alone?" he asked. Oralis told him the truth. "We were on a peace mission. Pirates attacked. My guards fought, but I was taken. They wanted to sell me to the highest bidder." Damon frowned. "Savages." Oralis looked at him with gentle eyes. "Why did you save me? You don't even know me." Damon was quiet. Then he said, "Because no one else would." Oralis smiled. For the first time in weeks, she had always believed humans were different, full of fire, full of emotion. Now she knew it was true. Later, Damon gave her clean clothes, food, and water. She changed and sat in the small cabin. Looking out the window, she whispered, "I miss my mother. Do you think she gave up on me?" Damon shook his head. "No. Queens don't cry in public, but they don't stop hoping." "How do you know?" "Because my mother was the same." Oralis looked at him. "You lost her?" He nodded. "A long time ago." She reached out and touched his hand. "Thank you, Damon." He didn't say anything, but her words warmed his heart. Back on Varelia, Queen Saralia stood in the Temple of Stars. The wind blew softly. The sky above showed the galaxy turning. Then she felt something, a whisper, a flicker. Her daughter's psychic spark. She opened her eyes. "She's alive," the Queen said. The stars outside blinked like tiny lights in the dark. The iron howl flew silently through space, far away from the black moon. Inside the ship, the air was quiet. But inside the hearts of Damon Voss and Princess Oralis, there was no peace. Yet, they had escaped the slavers, but the danger wasn't over. Damon sat in the pilot seat scanning the maps. His face was serious. "The Grim Reach patrols are still looking for us," he said. "They'll send bounty hunters. We're not safe yet." Oralis sat beside him. She wore clean clothes now, and her face was no longer pale. But her eyes were still tired. "Where will we go?" she asked. "There's a neutral station," Damon said. "It's called Hollow Nest. No slavers, no bounty laws. Just traders, smugglers, and old secrets. We'll hide there, refuel, and plan." Oralis nodded. "And after that?" Damon didn't answer right away. "We'll get you home." As the ship moved forward, the lights flickered. A warning flashed on Damon's screen. "Graviton storm. Approaching. Engine disruption likely." "Damn it," Damon muttered. "There's a storm ahead. A strong one." "Can we go around it?" Oralis asked. "Too late. We're already inside." Outside the ship, the stars twisted. Space itself looked like it was bending and shaking. Purple waves of energy rolled across the black sky. The ship trembled. Oralis grabbed the chair. "What's happening?" "This place is called the Void Tunnel," Damon explained. "It's a shortcut through broken space. Fast, but dangerous." "I didn't think we'd hit a storm." The engines began to flicker. Suddenly, the ship tilted hard. "Hold on!" Damon shouted. The iron howl was pulled into the storm. Gravity twisted. The floor shook. Sparks flew from the control panel. Oralis was thrown to the side, but Damon caught her arm and pulled her back into her seat. The ship spun, tossed by the wild energy of the void. For a moment, it felt like the ship would break apart. Then, silence. The ship floated. The storm passed. Damon sighed in relief. That was close. He looked at the damage. "Engines are alive, but barely. We need to land somewhere, fast." He checked the map again. One planet showed up nearby, Delta 5. It was an old mining world, empty for years, not much air. Cold and lonely. "Not a great place," Damon said, "but it's the only one close enough." "Let's go," Oralis said. They landed on Delta 5 just before the engines failed. The ground was gray and dry. Broken machines and empty buildings stood like skeletons in the dust. Damon and Oralis stepped out wearing light suits to keep them warm. The wind was quiet, and the sky was dark. "This place feels sad," Oralis said. "Most of the galaxy feels that way when nobody's looking," Damon replied. They walked to a nearby outpost and found a small power core. Damon carried it back to the ship to fix the engines. Oralis helped him, holding tools and connecting wires. "You're not like other humans I heard about," she said. "How so?" Damon asked. "You're quiet, serious, but kind, and you don't brag." Damon smiled a little. "Maybe I'm just tired." "No," Oralis said softly. "You're brave, and you care." Damon looked at her and saw something in her eyes. Warmth, trust, and something else. Something he didn't expect. That night, they sat outside the ship, looking at the stars. "I thought I would die in that cage," Oralis said. "I had no hope." Damon didn't speak. He just listened. "But then you came," she continued. "A human from a world I never visited. You saved me." Damon looked at her. "I wasn't planning to. I was just passing by." "But you still did it," she said. "You risked your life for a stranger?" He shrugged. "That's what soldiers do." Oralis smiled. "You're more than a soldier." The next day, Damon finished fixing the ship. The engines came back to life. "We're good to go," he said. As they prepared to leave, a strange sound echoed across the empty planet. Boom! Boom! A shadow moved across the sky. A ship, a black, spiked warship. Slavers, Damon whispered. They found us. The warship landed hard. Doors opened and mercenaries rushed out. Damon pushed Oralis behind him. Back to the ship! They ran as blaster fire rained down. Damon fired back, hitting. 2 enemies. He threw a grenade and dove behind cover. Oralis closed her eyes. Her cuffs sparked. She focused. Crack! A burst of psychic energy knocked 3 attackers down. Her power was returning. They reached the Iron Howl, and Damon started the engines. More slavers tried to block them, but the ship lifted and blasted into the sky. In space, the black warship chased them. Damon flew fast, dodging missiles. Oralis sat in the gunner's seat. I'll handle this. She aimed the cannon and fired. Boom! A missile exploded. The black ship kept coming. Damon turned the ship hard, flying toward an asteroid field. We'll lose them in the rocks. Inside the field, the chase was wild. Asteroids flew past like bullets. The enemy ship fired again, but Damon used every trick he knew. He flew low, fast, and tight. Oralis destroyed 2 more drones with perfect shots. Finally, Damon pulled a risky move. He flew behind a big asteroid, shut down all power, and drifted silently. The enemy ship flew past, looking but not finding. After a long minute, they were gone. Damon reactivated the ship. We're safe, he said. Oralis smiled. That was amazing. You were amazing, he replied. Later, as they finally approached the Hollow Nest station, Oralis asked, Will your people believe me, that I'm really the princess? They'll believe you, Damon said, or I'll make them. Oralis laughed for the first time in a long while. The Hollow Nest came into view. It was a giant floating ring with flashing lights, dirty ships, and strange music. Damon landed the ship and helped Oralis out. We'll hide here for now, he said. Rest, heal. Then we plan the trip home. Back on Virelia, Queen Seralia stood alone in her garden of stars. Suddenly, her eyes glowed bright. She felt something, stronger this time, her daughter's power. She turned to her guard. Prepare the gate, she said. My daughter lives. I can feel her, and she's coming. Home! The bright silver towers of Virelia shone under the twin suns. The city buzzed with activity. Nobles whispered in halls, guards patrolled the streets, and citizens watched the skies for news. The royal palace stood tall and proud, built from shining crystal and living vines. Inside the palace, Queen Seralia stood in her throne room. Her eyes glowed softly with power and hope. For the first time in many years, she believed her daughter was alive. The queen called her closest advisors. Prepare the palace, she ordered. We will welcome the princess home. But not everyone was happy. A group of nobles stood in a dark chamber speaking in low voices. Seralia is weak, one said. Her daughter is lost forever. This is our chance to take control. No one can prove the girl is real, another said. She could be a clone, or worse, a trick. They laughed cruelly, but far away, Damon and Oralis were preparing for their arrival. At the Hollow Nest station, Damon helped Oralis dress in royal robes. You look like a queen, Damon said. Oralis smiled shyly. I hope they accept me. You're the princess, Damon replied. No one can deny that. Oralis held a small glowing pendant, an ancient relic passed down to the royal family. This will help, she said. When they arrived on Virelia, the sky was filled with ships and celebrations. Crowds gathered in the streets. Banners flew. The people whispered, "The princess returns!" But as Damon and Oralis entered the palace, they faced suspicion. A stern guard stepped forward. Prove your identity. Oralis closed her eyes and held out the pendant. It glowed brightly. A psychic energy filled the room. The guards stepped. Back, eyes wide. Queen Seralia entered the hall. When she saw her daughter, her breath caught. She reached out slowly. Oralis stepped forward. Then the queen opened her arms. They embraced tightly. For a moment, the entire palace was silent. Then, tears. Queen Seralia's icy mask broke. Tears rolled down her cheeks. The people gasped. Their queen was crying. After the reunion, Daemon was taken to meet the Council of Nobles. They questioned him carefully. "Why did you rescue her?" Daemon stood tall. "Because she is the rightful heir. Because no one else would." Some nobles frowned. Others whispered. But when Oralis used her psychic powers to unlock an ancient door sealed for centuries, their doubts melted away. Days passed. Oralis trained with the best tutors. She learned to control her powers again, to lead her people, and to understand the heavy weight of the crown. Daemon stayed nearby, quietly repairing his ship and watching. He felt out of place in this world of silk and gold. One evening, Oralis found him alone on a balcony. "Why don't you stay?" she asked softly. He shrugged. "This isn't my world," she smiled. "You saved my life. You belong here." But danger still lurked. Some nobles plotted in shadows. They wanted to stop Oralis from taking the throne. One night, Daemon caught whispers of a plan to kidnap the princess again. He warned Oralis and Queen Seralia. Together, they prepared. The palace guards were doubled. Daemon tested his weapons, and Oralis's powers grew stronger. The queen gave Daemon a royal honor, a medal shaped like a star. "For saving the princess and protecting our future," she said. Daemon bowed. The final test was a public ceremony. Oralis stood before the people and the council. She declared, "I am your true queen. I return to lead and protect Virelia." The crowd cheered. The nobles who opposed her were silenced. That night, Daemon stood outside the palace. Oralis joined him. "We did it," she said. He nodded. "Thank you," she smiled. "No," she said. "Thank you." The future was uncertain, but for now the lost princess had come home, and the human warrior who rescued her had found a place among the stars. The grand hall of the Virelian palace was filled with light and music. The people of the planet had gathered to celebrate the return of their princess. Bright banners waved in the air. The smell of flowers and rich foods filled the room. Nobles, citizens, and soldiers stood together, watching the greatest moment in decades. At the center stood Queen Seralia, proud and strong, but her heart was full of feelings she had hidden for years. Her daughter, Princess Oralis, walked toward her, dressed in shining robes that glittered like stars. Her eyes were bright and full of hope. The crowd fell silent as mother and daughter met. Seralia's eyes softened. She stepped forward slowly, then suddenly, without warning, she wrapped Oralis in a fierce embrace. Tears rolled down the queen's cheeks, tears that no one had seen before. The entire hall gasped in surprise. Their cold, powerful queen was crying. Oralis held her mother tightly. "I was lost," she whispered. "But now I am home." Seralia's voice was shaky but full of love. "My daughter, my heart." I never stopped hoping. The crowd watched, moved by the rare moment of pure emotion. The queen pulled back and looked at everyone. "This is our future," she said loudly. "Together, we will rebuild Virelia." Daemon stood at the edge of the hall, watching quietly. He felt a strange warmth in his chest. He had never thought he would belong in a place like this, a place of royalty and power. But seeing the queen's tears, he understood something new. Sometimes even the strongest need to show their feelings. Oralis walked over to Daemon and smiled. "You saved me," she said softly. "And you saved me," he replied. Later, in a private room, Queen Saralia invited Damon in. She knelt before him, placing a small crystal in his hand. "This is a gift," she said, "for your bravery, your honor, and your heart." Damon was surprised. "I don't need gold or jewels," he said. Saralia smiled. "This crystal holds the trust of my people. It is more valuable than anything." Damon nodded, deeply touched. The next days were busy. Oralis began her training as the future queen. Damon stayed close, learning about Zerenian culture and politics. The bond between Damon and Oralis grew stronger. They shared stories of their worlds, their dreams, and their fears. One night, under the twin moons, they stood outside the palace. "I never thought I'd find a home here," Damon said. "You do," Oralis said. "With me?" He looked at her, a smile touching his lips. But peace was not yet complete. Some nobles still doubted Damon's place in their world. They whispered that he was only a human mercenary, unworthy of the trust and honor given to him. Queen Saralia faced these voices with quiet strength. She declared, "Damon is a friend of Virelia, a hero. And our future depends on all who stand for justice and courage." Her words silenced many. Then came a new threat. A powerful enemy fleet, jealous of Virelia's return to power, appeared at the edge of the system. Their ships were dark and huge, covered in strange weapons. The people feared war, but Oralis stood tall. "We will defend our home," she said. Damon prepared the defenses. He worked with the fleet commanders, sharing human tactics and strategies. The Zerenian ships, though elegant, were not built for war. Damon taught them how to fight with speed and surprise. When the enemy fleet attacked, the battle was fierce. Missiles flew, lasers burned, and ships exploded in brilliant colors. But thanks to Damon's guidance and Oralis's leadership, Virelia's forces pushed back the invaders. After the battle, the people cheered. Queen Saralia looked at her daughter and, "Damon, our future is safe," she said, "because of you both." The story of the lost princess, the human warrior, and the crying queen spread across the stars. It became a tale of hope, courage, and the power of trust between different worlds. And for Damon and Oralis, a new journey was just beginning, a journey of friendship, honor, and perhaps love.